Good afternoon, guys, and welcome to another match preview for Forest versus Villa this Sunday. This is a hugely important game coming up, and we'll be previewing it with our good mate Luke from UTV Podcast. The link is in the title. Make sure you go click it, show Luke some love, and make sure you subscribe to his channel. Luke, how are you, mate?
Very, very good, mate. As a Villa fan at the minute.
You are, mate. Roll the clock back 12 months at the City ground. You weren't smiling like that, mate.
Oh, definitely wasn't, mate. I walked out of there absolutely fuming with what I'd watched. But yeah, football can sometimes change quite quickly.
You were so lucky, man. Ashley Young, man. When has he ever scored a worldie like that? Ever? And he decides to pull one off at the City ground, man. After he scored for us, it was Dennis, wasn't it? If I remember right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
yeah,
5 minutes later, Ashley Young. Yeah. But yeah, there was a lot of burn at that time. And did Gerrard go after that game? Or did he survive another one?
He survived a couple more. He went at Fulham, 3-0 loss to Fulham. And then that was the end of it.
That was the end. And you ended up, where were you in the league? Can you remember when he went?
I think we were about 16th, 17th. Don't think we was in the relegation zone. I think we were sort of like just out of it.
Yeah. And then that was it, mate. And then, as they say, the rest is history, mate. So kind of, can you let the Forest fans know kind of the transition that happened, how quickly it happened when Emery come in? Was it something that was overnight, or did you have to see a bit of progression for the first few matches and the style as he looked to adapt?
So when Gerrard got sacked, we won against Brentford. We had Aaron Danks in charge. Then we had Danks again for Newcastle away. I think we got battered like 4 or 5-0. And then Emery came against Manchester United at home. We hadn't beat Manchester United at home for about 20 odd years, and we won 3-1, right? Ever since then, it's just been an upward trajectory ever since, I mean, the playing style, I think me as a fan, I've been educated as a fan how to watch football in a different way. Is absolutely completely galvanized how we watch football, the tactical side of things, what to watch out for. We play out from the back, and there was a couple of games where we kept giving the ball away and teams were scoring, and he was like, this is on me, this is how we're playing, we'll keep doing it. And the players have just adapted, and we just play this like really good brand of football. And yeah, he's literally transformed us, even off the pitch. Like, he's brought in Monchi, the sporting director from Seville, the guru behind all of their top signings that they've made over the years. So off the field, we're really operating in a different way as well. And unlike Emery at, say, PSG or Arsenal, where he sort of was just the manager and no control, at Villa, he's got control over absolutely everything. So, yeah, it's just going really good.
You're making me feel sick, mate. Honestly, that smile on your face, wipe it off and show us a little sympathy down the other end. You've forgotten what it's like down here, mate. Seriously, it's been impressive, because another player I remember was McGinn. When you guys were coming to us, he was getting completely slated, and people were talking about dropping him. I think he may have even been dropped for that game. I can't remember off the top of my head. But has Emery been able to transform some of these out-of-form players? And I use the term very loosely at the moment, because Ollie Watkins as well, he's suddenly in a very purple patch, isn't he? So has he been working well with the players as well as the tactic side of things?
I think that's one of the biggest strengths that Emery's got. I mean, you go back to last season. The last season, barring Moreno, who we signed in January, and we signed a young kid, Duran, in January, he was pretty much working with every player that was still at the club. And we'd gone from, say, 17th to finishing 7th in the league. And he improved every player, every single player. Mings, Konsa, Cash, McGinn, Kamara, Luis, literally everyone. And this season, those players have improved even more. So there's been another jump from their performances. And you look at teams like Man United at the minute, they're coached really poorly. But you look at teams like Villa, Brighton, it's the coach, because he can work with players and improve players. And I think that's just a testament to how good a manager that he is, that he improves players. And that's what every fan wants to see, don't they? From their manager, you want to see players that are improving. You don't want to just keep signing players that, they're just good anyway. You want to see them get better. So I think that's something that he's been able to do really well as well.
And is that quite noticeable to see? Because we were talking about earlier on your channel, make sure you subscribe, guys, if you want to see that one, about how Dean Smith and Cooper, I mean, I was talking about Gerrard, but when you said Dean Smith, I was like, yeah, that's spot on. And you can notice that, can't you? With, like, if you look at Dean Smith and Gerrard, how they coached and developed players, it's kind of night and day to that elite level that Emery's doing now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like, it is at elite level. It's like, it's just mental how they can have that big jump. And I think you hear players like Cash came out after the game against Luton, and he said when Emery talks about a win, it feels like we've lost the game, because he's so meticulous in his detail. He leaves like no stone unturned. He's got a scenario for everything. And a lot of the players have been saying that basically Emery will tell the players how the opposition are going to play, and that it's down to them to execute the plan. And when they execute the plan, we win, because they've been told how the opposition are going to play. So just go and do what he's told you, and we perform well. So I just think you just hear that noise of how that coach works. And, it's the detail. I think it's the detail and the trust. Emery says something, they do it, and that's basically it. So I think it's just a culmination of everything, really. And, when these coaches have had success elsewhere, they've got quite a lot of experience. So that there's players in our squad that have never played in Europe before, but he can bring that calmness and that experience. So, he's I mean, I'm 34 and I haven't watched football like this at Villa ever. So I think that's, we've had some decent times like Martin O'Neill, but, what he's actually doing and how we're playing, it's the best football I've ever watched.
I hate you. And the thing is, he's gone old school, hasn't he? I mean, you don't see many 4-4-2s. I know it's a lot more fluid than a 4-4-2, the way he's playing. But it's interesting that he's kind of set you guys up in that formation. Honestly, I hate to say it. I'm a big admirer of what he's done. Last year, I was calling you like Aston Villa before he was in there. You were so plain and boring with Steven Gerrard football. But enough, I don't want to big him up any more than I need to. But overall, though, what I want to ask you about is the expectations of this season. Because as much as I think your starting 11 is solid, and I think you got a couple of decent squad players, is it deep enough? Because you've obviously got the European campaign going on as well. Do you worry that you're going to be spread a bit too thin as maybe you get into the latter stages of that competition? Or, as we all know, that's not really a European competition. You and I both have pedigree with our clubs, don't we, with the proper European wins. But is that something you think Emery will take seriously and maybe could be at the detriment of where you end up in the Premier League this year?
So I think the squad is as thin as it's going to get right now. I mean, our injuries that we've got right now are absolutely, it's terrible. We've got Mings out all season pretty much. Buendia will probably be back maybe about March. We've had Ramsey that's been out and only played 2 games, I think. We've had Moreno, who's pretty much been out. So Moreno and Ramsey were our left side last season. So they've been out all. So that's 4 players that were pretty much starters last season out. So Ramsey and Moreno are coming back. So there is depth there. You've got Bailey on the bench. So to answer your question, I'd say I hope it's not going to get any thinner, because it's been pretty thin already. But the ambition, I mean, for me, I said that I just want to qualify for Europe again through the league. So I want to see us like consistently challenging that big 6, 7, whatever they call it, and being in and around there and qualify for Europe through the league. And I think he's been using Europe to like experiment with the team a little bit and change the formation and try different things. So although he'll say he wants to win it, I think it feels a bit like it's just see how we go sort of thing. Like if we get out the group, see who we get, try and meet them, and then you sort of take baby steps. But what he's been saying about the league and, you know, wanting to gate crash that top 7 or whatever, and he wants to get in the Champions League with Villa, I think that just shows where his mindset is really. It's all about the league.
Yeah, I think that's the attitude you want from your manager, isn't it? Not to kind of sit on his laurels and look to increase the expectation. Would you say that's a similar expectation in the fan base? Are there? I'm sure there's some deluded ones who are looking higher and some pessimistic ones that are looking lower. But would you say overall you're kind of all on the same hymn, singing from the same hymn sheet on position there?
I think so. I think you've got sort of like in football, you've kind of got the old school fans who are all about trophies. It's like,
Yeah.
I want to win the league, I want to win the FA Cup. But for me, now, really now, the grand scheme of where we are in the Premier League, getting in the top 4, that is one of the biggest things you can do, isn't it? Because it'll grow your club tenfold. It brings in more revenue.
Yeah.
You know, you win the League Cup, it's great, it's nice, you look back and you've had a good day, but you want your club to be challenging at the highest level. And I think, you know, you want to get in the Champions League. So some fans will say they want to win Europe and a cup and that, but I think majority sort of know that it's, you know, getting in the Champions League would be, you know, massive, to be fair.
Be hard to do. It'd be hard to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably just to stretch the season. But if he carries on increasing and developing, you can kind of see the project roadmap, can't you, in the way he's doing it. All right, let's kind of swing the attention onto Forest here, mate. How do you see Forest this year? What's been your kind of summary on Forest?
I would say, like, I'm a football fan. I like watching football, so I watch a lot of games. And you know, I'm not one of these that sort of dislikes any team really. I'd say probably Man United. I don't really like, but you know, I've been looking at you, and I've been watching, you know, your channel last season as well, and I kind of felt like you'd be a bit higher up in the league this season. So I know it's only 10 games, but I kind of felt like you would be quite comfortable all season. And I look at the table at the minute and I think, you know, you're not going to go down, but you know, you're still kind of like there with Everton, aren't you? And could get dragged in if you lose games. So I just felt like you'd kick on a little bit more, and a bit with Cooper as well. Like I felt like after surviving last year and you had that amazing home form, I just felt like I would be watching a team that I could see the style more and the way you play and the philosophy coming through a little bit more. I still feel like when I watch you, it looks a little bit like there's a lack of belief there at times, and a bit of a vulnerability. Like I watched the game against Luton and I thought you absolutely smashed them. Like you played so well. But you shouldn't be drawing that game 2-2 at the end against Luton. And I think that's probably where I look at you and think, you know, if you were going to like pop a kick on, you'd have saw that game out easy. So I just think you're a bit like middle of the road at the minute, aren't you? Where like you need to kick on, but you just lack a little something, I think.
I think you've described it really well, mate. I can't really argue too much of what you've said. I think the key word, what you said, there's the philosophy and the identity. It's still not coming through. Now, some will say that's because we signed another 14 players this summer and they need time to gel, etc. It's wearing a bit thin on me, that excuse. But yeah, I can't argue too much with what you said. Have there been any players that have caught your eye from Forest this year?
I mean, I've already spoke to you on my channel. I told you I like, so I'll tell your fans who I like. I like Gibbs White.
Before he does chat, take a guess in the comments at who he's gonna say. But go on, Luke.
Gibbs White, like I rate him. I like him. I just like when he gets on the ball. It feels like sometimes when he gets it, something's going to happen. And like I said on my channel, you know, he's playing out wide. That's not his position. I think he should be a little bit more central. So again, when I look at Forest, I kind of feel like he's out wide because he's trying to make do for somebody else in the middle, and you don't want to put him in the middle because he probably doesn't feel you're as strong if he plays in the middle. But Taiwo, top, great striker, strong, brilliant. And I think that Sangare is going to come really, really good for you. Been impressed with him, in his career to date. I think you mentioned on mine when, Diaby signed and you were like, okay, this is a good signing. I kind of felt the same when he signed for you. It's kind of like, bloody hell, like you got him.
Yeah.
So, and that's where like at the start of the season, when I looked at you, I thought, God, these are going to be like proper like up there this season. So I don't know, maybe you've just got to just develop a little bit this season. We're only 10 games in, but yeah, I'd say Gibbs White for me.
Yeah, everyone does, mate. You're not alone. Right? Last season, we'd always get Gibbs White and Jono, Gibbs White and Jono, Gibbs White and Jono. Let me ask you about Jono, because over the summer, I was bantering with a lot of the Villa fans about Jono because there was heavy links to him joining Aston Villa. It never materialized in the end. There was talks, I believe, that happened between the two clubs and his representatives. Do you think he's someone that would have fitted the right word in? Fitted in with the with what Emre's building there? Is he the kind of player that would have progressed quite nicely with Villa?
I remember we did quite a few transfer episodes on this, and my general vibe was that he would be a good player for Villa. Like, there's no doubt he's a really good player.
Yeah.
But we needed someone who was really explosive and dynamic and like super quick, and just that level above is what I think we needed. And I don't think he would have been that player. I think it would have been one where he's still growing into the player that he is. And I think I would probably say Diaby's a little bit ahead of him. But he would have been a fantastic player. But again, it was the money, wasn't it? Villa have got wealthy owners, but how much did he go for?
48.5 million.
Yeah, I mean, that would be our record signing. And it's a lot, isn't it? And
how much did you pay for Diaby? Was it about 40?
I think it was about 35 rising.
Bloody hell, man. 42. How did you pull that off?
I don't know.
That's a great deal.
That's what I'm saying. So, and Emery doesn't want to waste money either. He like last January, we signed 2 players and that was it. And the fan base was saying, we need more. We let Ings go and we need to sign a striker. So he's really like savvy with the money that he spends. And I just felt like it'd have been too much for us to spend.
Yeah. Okay. Looking ahead to the game, mate. Who should we be shitting ourselves about from your team sheet? Who's the one that you're gonna kind of put your hat on that's gonna really cause Forest the most problems? Maybe more than one, maybe the whole team. I don't know. What are you thinking? Because you are singing quite nicely right now.
I would say it is all over, to be fair, because of how we play and the style of football that we play. Like with our formation, whether it's if Kashi's going into midfield, then he's a threat through there. Then you've got Diaby and Watkins up top. We've got Dougie Luiz who's getting further forward. I mean, one of our big players is Pau Torres, the centre back. He's one of our crucial players with the ball. He's pinging balls into midfield. He's having like 98% passing accuracy per game. And we're just like a really good, fully functioning team that we will look at Forest and we don't play the same every week. So Emery will figure out a plan to play Forest that will be different to what we played against Luton. So when we look at our threats, it's all over and depends on what plan is and where he's looked at sort of the Forest weakness, really. So, it's probably all over. I mean,
forgot he got Pau Torres because he was really close to signing for Man U the window before you got him. So again, another huge steal you've done there as well. And the confidence oozing out of you is horrific. And Zaniolo, how's he been for you? Because we were linked heavily with him in the summer. Has he impressed you guys? I know he's got a few goals, but how's his general play been at Villa?
Good. I really like him. Some fans are a bit on the fence, but he's added like a physical profile to our team. So sort of the right hand side is pacey with Cash or Diaby or Bailey, and then he adds this like physical presence. So he's built a bit like a striker, quite tidy, quite raw, and he was away finding out his betting sort of scandal thing on Friday, and I thought, okay, he won't play on Sunday, and he played on Sunday, and Bailey the game before was electric in Europe, and you know, for Emery to sort of stick with Zaniolo, I think that says a lot of what Emery thinks of Zaniolo. So I really like him, I rate him, but yeah, I think he's just going to sort of grow into the season.
Clear
really.
now? Is he clear of the betting?
Well, when that came out with Tonali, like Tonali was like sort of like bang to right straight away, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And Zaniolo was a bit like there was no noise around it. And apparently Zaniolo was just betting on blackjack and poker. So there's talk of he might just get like a fine. So they don't really think he's gonna be banned. So I think he looks like he's all right, to be fair.
What's going on, mate? We've had it with Harry Tuffalo on our team as well. He got a suspended sentence, I think. So yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy.
I mean, Paqueta for West Ham, he's still under investigation as well, isn't he? So I don't know how the Italian Federation can sort of like do it so quickly. Yeah, over here it's like he's playing for a whole season, and then it's just mad, isn't it? The Italians are just like, I think they don't want a scandal, though, do they? So I think
they've had too many. Yeah,
exactly. So they're like, we've got to like stop this straight away.
Yeah. Well, speaking of scandals that could happen, mate. Football's a funny old game. I know you're cocky. I know you're confident about this game. I can see that smile still oozing on your face. Yeah. Let's get into the predictions. How do you see this one going in terms of the overall play of the game, the way you think it will work out? What do you think the final score will be come, about 4:15 on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, although like I'm really happy and confident of how we're doing, this is going to be a real difficult game because you're at home and you haven't won in a while, so you've got to kind of get back on track, haven't you? Really?
Yeah.
But I've got to back Villa because of how well we're doing to win the game. I think as a fan, I'm going to say I think we're going to win, but you've got threats all over that worry me. I think for you guys, it's about establishing what formation you go with and how you're going to play against Villa. We've seen this so far this season. I think this is why fans, we're excited because we've got sort of like different styles. So, if you come and press us, we're quick and explosive on the counter.
Yeah, no chance that's happening, mate. We don't.
So
press
if you sit back, we played against West Ham, who I think they're a real good team on transition, and we managed to beat them 4-1. So
was that at Villa Park or was that away?
Yeah, that was at Villa Park.
Because our style isn't too far off West Ham's. If I had to liken it to another team's one, we're not a million miles off that. 4-1 was it?
Yes. So I was really worried about that game because on transition, them catching us on the break, I thought, God, we're gonna have a mare here because sometimes we play that high line, but we coped with it really well. So yeah, I'll go with Villa win, but yeah.
Tight. What are you thinking scoreline wise?
Yeah, 2-1. I think it will be a real tight, cagey game. I think if I had to think how we'd win, I'd say we're going to win it at the end, nick it at the end. I think it'll be tight, and then we nick it as the game goes on.
That'd be heartbreaking. I reckon it's going to be a draw. I do. I think we will block out the pitch down the middle as much as you can. You're going to have to come around the sides to get in. As long as we don't make a stupid mistake, which we are prone to do, I think we'll frustrate you. But I do see you dominating the game. Maybe I'm clutching at straws because I've been watching your games and you're looking sharp and tasty. But all these, good forms have to end at some time, mate. And hopefully it'll be there. Luke, let the guys know where they can find you. It's pinned in the title, but just let them know kind of what you cover off on UTV. By the way, UTV, Up the Villa, that's what it stands for. It took me like years to figure that one out.
Yeah, so we're on YouTube mainly. We're just like a Villa fan channel, so we do match previews, predicted lineups. I go quite in depth tactically. So for our predicted lineup, I'll be looking at Forest, your strengths, your weaknesses, etc. And yeah, we do opposition previews. So go and check out Wolfie on our channel as well. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
And make sure you subscribe, because once we smash him on Sunday, I want to see you lot going on his comments and giving him loads of views.
Well, do you know what? No, I tell you what though, I've heard about you lot from the Luton fans. Apparently, you were giving it the Luton fans.
Well, apparently they beat us 2-2, Luke. I don't know how that one quite worked. But apparently they got 3 points from a 2-2 draw. But yeah, I saw there was a few clips of me floating around on social media, which is like, thank you to whoever did them. Free advertising. I'm not going to complain. But yeah, you've seen him. You've seen Luke looking all cocky, confident, that goddamn beautiful smile he's got. Yeah, let's hope we can wipe it off on Sunday, and then make sure that I want to see you all over his comments. So make sure you subscribe to UTV podcast. Luke, it's been an absolute pleasure, bro. Thank you so much for coming on. Make sure you like and subscribe, guys, if you're new here, and we'll see you on the next video. You Reds.